YouTube. This is the wrong way here. It's about, southern Michigan, heading up here to Point City, Michigan for the delivery and pickup tomorrow. Sorry, it's been a while since I've it's been a couple weeks since I've uploaded a video. The mount I was using for my phone broke and I had to get me a new one. What I want to talk about today, I don't really know the details of it yet because I just caught like the tail end of it on the news channel I like to listen to. But so I will have to look it up and find out the details and make it, I'll get back to you. But the way I understood it, apparently the EPA is wanting to crack down and put up a big old bunch, put a bunch more regulations on us to make the manufacturers increase fuel mileage again and decrease emissions again, which in of itself is a good thing. But the way the EPA tries to make them do it is put all kinds of, super crazy expensive, untested, unreliable equipment on the trucks that inevitably cost, by the time it gets down to the individual driver, owner operator, guy who owns his own truck, or whoever's buying the truck or having to retrofit the one they've already got, cost them, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. The last time they did this was with the DEF. If you don't know what that is, that's diesel exhaust fluid. It's basically, in a nutshell, it's liquefied ammonia that is sprayed into the exhaust, and supposedly it does something and neutralizes some kind of the, exhaust gases to, render them inert before, as they expelled out. As far as I can tell, being a company driver anyway, as far as I can tell, the only thing it does is, that's one more thing I have to keep an eye on and refill every once in a while whenever I get fuel. And it basically is, and like I said, as far as I can tell, it does nothing but cost my company money to keep it filled up. And it's a whole other system to pay for when they buy the truck and to maintain it to make sure it keeps working. Another thing they did last time they did all this is EGR. What that is, if you don't know, it's exhaust gas recirculation. Basically, it's a system that they started putting on trucks, whereas there's this big old huge filter on the exhaust system. It's called a diesel particulate filter, and supposedly that filter would filter. It takes out some of the bad stuff from from the exhaust before it's expelled. And that was first. First it was put that filter on, the exhaust gas goes through it and filters it out. Okay. What EGR is, once they started doing that, requiring that, is after the exhaust goes through that filter. So I don't know how it works. I've never looked at the system, but after it goes through the filter, it's somehow then before it is expelled out the stack, is somehow then recirculated back to pass through the filter again. And what that caused is engines started running extremely hot, and because of the excess heat that they could not dissipate because of it, they was always breaking down and having stuff burn up and go bad. It was just a mess, and it was like that for 5-10 years or something like that. They've just now recently, in the past couple of years, kind of started getting it under control and figuring it out to where it's usable. And now the EPA is coming down and going to start the process all over again. Who knows what they're going to try to make them do this time? What kind of stupid system that's going to cause problems and tear stuff up and cost thousands upon thousands of dollars? I understand what they're trying to do. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But they should not come up and say to the truck manufacturers and say, you have to use whatever system. Why don't they, if they wanted, but make sure that their trucks increase fuel mileage, fuel efficiency, and decrease emissions, what they ought to do, if they really want to do that, even though that happens anyway, just as as the manufacturers work on the engines and improve them and make them better, that's just a byproduct. But if the EPA wants to step in and ensure it, well, all they have to do, what they ought to do, is say you have so many years for your engines to meet such and such standard, and then after that, leave it up to the manufacturers on how they do it, whether they just work on the engine as it sits and figure out a way to make it run more efficient, or maybe add some kind of a piece of equipment to it that they would actually test and verify before rolling it out, at least to some extent. I'm not saying stuff is perfect, but they're a lot better than the EPA. Leave it up to the manufacturers how they meet those standards. Don't force everybody to use a piece of equipment. As long as we're meeting the standards, fuel efficiency and emissions, and why does it matter what equipment we're using, whether it be some kind of a filter or like DEF or an equivalent or whatever. Leave it up to the manufacturers designing the engines to figure it out and figure out what works best and make sure it works properly. Don't just walk in with this big old piece of equipment, expensive piece of equipment, basically just drop it on their desk and say, here, you have to put this on your trucks. Deal with it. That's not the way to go about it. But that's just my opinion. Like I said, I don't know the details about this. I don't know what kind of equipment they're wanting us to start using or when the deadline is. Like I said, I just caught the tail end of the news story. They was just finishing up talking about it when I turned my radio on. So I will make sure I look this up and find out the details on what's going on, and I will make another video and post it, letting y'all know. But in the meantime, to put that in the comment section below. Tell me what do you think about this? What do you think? How they is the EPA right in the way they go about it? Do you think that that they should force them to use certain pieces of equipment, or do you think that or do you agree with me and say, okay, just set a standard, say you have to meet these standards, and let the engine manufacturers figure it out on their own? Or do you want to just say, leave them alone and let them do what they want to do? Post down in the comment sections below and tell me what you think. This is Wrong Way, and I will see you next video, YouTube.